Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Li Wei Tai. Thank you for joining us. Coming up on the show today, still reeling from mudslides in March, Camina commune in the Chilean province of El Tamarugo received city's aid relief with help from local Taiwanese businessmen. In the continuation of our featured series on bird flu in Taiwan, today we look at the availability of vaccines to protect all those working in the poultry industry, as well as for the entire nation in the case of an epidemic. And later, a soap factory in Taiwan that closed down for more than a decade makes a successful comeback. We find out how the third-generation owner revived the dormant business. In mid-March, the village of Camina in northern Chile was struck by massive landslides which displaced 88 people. A group of Taiwanese entrepreneurs from the nearby city of Iquique notified City of the disaster and later accompanied volunteers to visit the disaster site and distribute relief supplies.
Today, the volunteers are gathering together to pack 120 bags of aid materials. For the victims, we prepared portable gas stoves, sets of utensils. All of them are kitchen supplies. In March, the village of Camina, which is located in the north of Chile, was struck by heavy rains, which caused massive landslides. Thankfully, a group of Taiwanese businessmen from the city of Iquique, who Tzu volunteers recruited during a tea ceremony, initiatively contact Tzu to report back on the disaster and are now accompanying volunteers to distribute relief materials in the village.
The drive time is approximately 3 hours and 200 kilometers in distance.
The distance from Iquique to Camina is about 240 kilometers. Despite harsh road conditions, 39 volunteers visit the disaster area. Bowing 90 degrees and present the relief materials, the volunteers' love and care has opened the victims' hearts.
The demands of a modern life have become a major source of stress for people, and more often than not can trigger depression in those who are at their most emotionally fragile. For those experiencing a milder form of depression, our next report suggests taking up a new hobby in the areas of art and music. For Chen Xiuling, what was once a peaceful life changed forever after a road accident. Chen was sent flying from her bicycle on impact, which left her paralyzed from the neck down. She became imprisoned by her immobility.
I couldn't kill myself even if I wanted to. I had no reason to live either. I went from being capable to being disabled, and the pain was too much to take.
Chen assiduously pulled through her rehabilitation program. Though every step drains her, she is walking again with the help of a waist brace and attending a weekly painting class that brings her immense joy.
We were happy to be here. We have great classmates and teachers. It's so much fun.
Painting is therapeutic and helps you take your mind off things. The stress of living in a fast-paced world can also have a lasting impact on one's emotional well-being. Some find joining a choir uplifts the mood.
I was depressed because my life wasn't going well. I felt like running away from my life.
Singing is a pure enjoyment for your heart because it will help you forget about your worries.
The old and the middle-aged each have their own worries, and teenagers are also not exempt from the stress of life.
以前考试校的时候啊，我压力都会很大，所以每天都会很紧张。竞争压力很大，所以只要考不好，心情就会不好。虽然有这么多不开心的事，但我还是找到了宣泄的管道，就是音乐。
Like a soft ray of sunshine, music washes away melancholy and settles the mind.
When you are positively distracted, it keeps your attention away from pessimistic thoughts.
Clinical studies have proven that music has a soothing property.
We looked at some numbers, such as heart and breathing rates. Before the therapy, the patient's breathing is faster. But after being exposed to music, the rate of his heartbeat and breathing had slowed down, indicating that he was less emotional.
Life is not all a bed of roses, so when you're caught up in the blues, look to music, arts and crafts as a new hobby for their proven therapeutic qualities.
In our next story, we meet Tzu Chi volunteer Zhang Shouwen, who had every reason to succumb to depression, but ultimately overcame life's challenges. Zhang's husband took his own life 8 years ago, and both the children fell victim to drug abuse. The turning point of Zhang's dark days came when she met Tzu Chi. Today, Zhang is an active volunteer who vows to help those suffering similar fates.
Don't always think negatively. Some people say I'm a cheerful person. I say I'm not happy, I have many worries, but I put them aside.
It's hard to believe the bride's 55-year-old Zhang Shouwen faced a difficult life just 8 years ago, a time when her husband committed suicide and her children were in jail.
I was really lost. I would often smash myself into the wall or fall down the stairs. If people asked what had happened, I didn't dare say anything.
The immense pressure to repay a debt pushed Zhang's husband to end his life, while Zhang's son and daughter later become drug addicts. The series of setbacks in her life made the woman really depressed.
I didn't dare pick up the phone because it would always be the debt collectors or people after my children. I couldn't pick it up, and I didn't know where my kids were. I would always hide out and only go home when it was dark.
Although not her first time facing a loved one committing suicide, but this time Zhang Shouwen was left to care for her children on her own. Luckily was then that the widow met Tzu Chi and overcome the challenges in life with encouragement from the volunteers.
You have to listen and don't be pessimistic. You have to listen to their heart and how hard it is for them.
Zhang Shouwen now spends time volunteering with her daughter and grandchild. She says listening and accompanying people in times of need is the key to help them get back on track. This is also how she pulled her daughter out of the darkness.
The bad days will be over and time will pass, as will bad luck, and then good fortune will come along.
Zhang Shouwen says she's still learning how to face life with a positive attitude, and if she gets the chance, she will help those in need overcome their own difficulties in life.
In the battle against bird flu, inoculation is still the best preventative measure. When the H1N1 virus broke out in 2009, the international community supplied Taiwan with 370,000 vaccines. The crisis prompted local health authorities to develop Taiwan's capacity to make its own vaccines. And in the latest in our series of reports on avian influenza in Taiwan, we go to the country's new vaccine factory, which is ready to produce 10 million H5N1 shots if necessary.
The staff at the Animal Health Inspection and Disease Control Center in Changhua County, in the west center of Taiwan, are on the front line in the battle against the H5N2 virus. But inoculations like this are not as common as you would think.
In the past 2 years, our immunization rate has been very low. The central government sends down about 600 shots, which isn't enough for us.
There are around 4,000 people employed in the poultry business in Changhua County. And when you add disease control and medical workers, you'll see that 600 vaccines are woefully inadequate. On the other hand, many poultry farmers do not trust modern medicine.
I think if you can get away without a shot, don't get one. If you get vaccinated, you have to keep getting shots. Yes, it's true that if you have protection, you won't get infected. But if you look after your health, you don't need a shot.
Wherever you look in Changhua, you can see huge poultry farms. In these crowded conditions, even the cleanest farm can be vulnerable to infection, especially if it flies in from abroad.
The migratory birds that go to nearby water sources and are taken into captivity are all infected. Infected wildfowl show no symptoms whatsoever.
Another risk is that bird flu will mix and mutate into unknown strains. Experts are currently working on ways to stop the deadly H5N1 virus infecting humans again.
The most effective way to combat it is by immunization. So the whole world is concentrating on one thing, which is to guarantee national vaccine capacity. The WHO will give us vaccine strains, which we can use to make our own vaccines.
After the experience of mass-producing H1N1 vaccine in 2009, if there is an outbreak of bird flu, this vaccine factory can make 10 million shots.
Now we can get avian influenza drug certification, which is called a mock-up medication, which means we have the ability to make a whole virus bird flu vaccine. So if there's a major outbreak, we can use this mock-up vaccine to directly make bird flu vaccine.
In 2009, Taiwan was upgraded to the status of a vaccine-producing nation. Like other countries, Taiwan can use easily available chicken embryos to produce flu vaccine, which is made like most other vaccines. Fumigated fertile chicken eggs are injected with the virus vaccine and incubated for 48 hours. After spending the night in a refrigerator to stop the vaccine overgrowing, the virus goes through a double process of purification and inactivation to produce a safe vaccine. In 5 months, 10 million inoculations can be produced. To combat the virus's ability to rapidly mutate, unlike other vaccines, avian influenza vaccine must be able to protect against mixed strains and pass more stringent tests.
The first is the seroprotection rate, which must be above 70%. Another is seroconversion rate, which must be at least 40%. And another is the antibody GMT, which must increase by at least 2.5 times. So if there's an outbreak that starts to go pandemic, if the vaccine you have in stock doesn't have cross-protection, your stored vaccine will probably be useless.
Unlike in 2009, when Taiwan last faced an influenza crisis, today the nation has the capacity to produce its own vaccines. Once the inoculations are successfully tested on humans, Taiwan can at last protect itself from flu outbreaks without international aid.
Moving to China, Tzu Chi volunteers in Xiamen of Fujian province recently held a scholarship award ceremony, during which they also prepared a presentation for students about the importance of recycling.
Respectfully presenting scholarship, Tzu Chi volunteers hope to spread the seeds of love into the hearts of students. And through a trip to an environmental station, now the students understand by recycling, they can help others in need.
I think recycling is not something that only the rich can do. We can do it too. Environmental protection is not just about doing big things. Every little thing counts too.
I'm doing a good deed by recycling. Before, I would think like others and believe that waste had no value. Through today's lesson now, I understand by recycling we can gain spiritual wealth.
Because I have to work and take care of my family, so I'm under a lot of stress. That's when I started to have short temper. After meeting the volunteers, seeing the way they talk and act, I'm very touched.
Through the scholarship award ceremony, smiles are seen on the faces of the volunteers and the scholarship receivers.
In the Philippines, the latest Tzu Chi monthly charity sale was held in Barangay Nangka in Marikina City. The low prices and worthy cause attracted many who were looking for a good deal and a chance to help others. What are all these people anxiously lining up for? Of hosts its city's most recent monthly bazaar for charity. Here at Marikina's Barangay Nangka, 31-year-old Marilyn Cruzado came with her daughter for some good deals on clothing and household items for herself and her family.
The coat hangers here are really cheap. One piece is only $2. They are useful and sturdy.
Marilyn is probably one of Tzuji's most faithful shoppers and can be seen at every bazaar. For Marilyn, the charity sales are a great place to save money and help those in need.
The items at the bazaar are cheap, and when you purchase them, you are also helping others. My daughter is currently under a Tzuji scholarship, and I have also taken part in vocational training sessions in sewing hosted by Tzuji.
The items awaiting shoppers are many and range from clothing, toys, magazines to home products. Each item has been donated, and all proceeds of the bazaar will go to helping those in need.
If not for the charity bazaar, I would have never been able to buy such a great couches for my father. I really want to thank whoever donated this.
With walking stick in hand, Marilyn quickly returns home to surprise her father with a new and practical gift. Soap bars are not as popular as they once were, as people prefer using the liquid form. In Taiwan's Sanxia, a 30-year-old soap bar factory had to shut down due to a decline in business. A young man, however, with new ideas, somehow helps breathe new life into the old family business. Here is more.
Blue and white packaging and rectangular in shape, this is the Fu Le Tuo soap that was quite popular in Taiwan back in the 50s, and now it is available again.
I had an idea. I wanted to somehow combine traditional soap making with the handmade natural soap that's quite popular nowadays.
The 30-year-old soap factory in Sanxia is now also a tourist attraction, for it is a living soap museum. Machinery in the plant rumbles and churns. The creamy and fragrant mixture in this boiler is not food, but soap.
The way the soap is made has not been changed. We just introduced some additives to fit the needs of modern consumers.
When thrown in the water, Fu Le Tuo floats. The purity of the soap is its signature.
在水面上代表什么意思？
其实就是说它的皂碱含量比较低。
In the early days, the soap developed by my grandfather, Fu Le Tuo, floating soap, was sold nationally in government-owned chains. However, people began to like using liquid soap and shampoo, and the demand for soap bars decreased.
肥皂就渐渐的没落了。
At its prime, over 100,000 bars of Fu Le Tuo were sold in a month. However, facing competition featuring mass-produced modern products, business declined and the factory had to close down. In another boiler, Lin Youan is pouring in honey into the mixture, for he is making creamy honey soap. When the cooking process is over, the mixture is laid out flat to dry. Every step is done carefully. Now 14 different varieties of soap are made and are quite popular. 5 years ago, Lin Youan inherited the factory from his grandpa, and he had a crazy idea. He wanted to take the famed Li Luochun tea of Sanxia and add it to his soap to make a green tea soap.
At first, my family wasn't too optimistic about my idea. They said, tea is for drinking. Why would you put it in a soap bar? How much are you going to charge? But I just persisted.
Lin Youan's folly would revive the family business, but behind the scenes, the Lin family struggled and toiled.
The soap factory has always been here. It just laid dormant for many years, and the whole family was unemployed, so we were really short on funds.
没有工作就没有收入。
What was once 12 NT dollars a bar now sells for 120 NT dollars. However, the popularity of the soap proves that Lin Youan was right. Standing behind their product, the Lin family has reversed their fortune with a little luck and a lot of determination.
In the last story, we saw how Lin Youan of Sanxia, Taiwan, revived the family soap business. It all started with his grandpa, Lin Yicai, who began his career as a soap bar salesman more than half a century ago.
At lunchtime, the Lins of Taiwan's Sanxia like to watch DaAi dramas. It is also a time of bonding for them. As soon as the break is over, they get to work again. Cutting and packaging, the Lins are busy making handmade soap bars. A slow-moving old man with a hunchback stands out from the rest. He is 83-year-old Lin Yicai, the founder of the family business. He still insists on working every day.
At the time, I was suffering from a type of skin disease, eczema. I couldn't find a cure, which prompted me to make my own soap.
A soap salesman when young, Grandpa Lin developed eczema from touching poorly made soap, which prompted him to start his own business.
As I invested in research and development, I began to bounce checks. It was embarrassing.
Foolishly diving into the business, Grandpa Lin was deceived at times and also suffered several failures. Eventually, though, his Fuletuo soap bar would dominate Taiwan in the 50s.
I am only afraid that you won't buy the soap. I'm not afraid of you using it.
Confident in his products and his 40 years of experience, Grandpa has many ways to determine a soap bar's quality, including licking it.
If it's heavy and alkaline, it will hurt your lips.
In old days, one soap bar could take care of one's washing needs from head to toe. However, as people's needs diversified, soap bar manufacturing slowly died out. Grandpa Lin was forced to close down his factory. The machinery lay dormant for 10 years, until his grandson Lin Youan took over and started a new brand.
At the time, business was really bad. We were forced to close down. Then my grandpa said he couldn't bear to see this, so my brother said he would take over.
Handmade soap has become quite popular, so that prompted me to start up the business. But if there is no demand for soap bars, then there will be no business. We are all afraid this is but a temporary hype and may only last 5 to 10 years.
Though the Lins have recovered their fortune, they still feel uncertain about the future. But Grandpa Lin is not worried, for he believes making soap bars is more than just making money.
Don't cheat others and make good products that satisfy consumers' needs. That's all there is to it.
We end the show in Kunshan in China's Jiangsu province, where parents and children spend some quality time together at the local Ciji farm, cultivating a new field for crops. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.